After all these years, to be going back to where it all started. Back to the Matrix.
What's up, everybody? It's your boy Wes Grant. You're watching Suburban Nerd, the channel where I give my nerd views on today's nerd news. I'll also do movie reviews, and today's movie I'm going to be reviewing is The Matrix Resurrection, starring Keanu Reeves, Carrie-Anne Moss, and Jessica Henwick. If you don't know, she's from the not-so-good Netflix show Iron Fist, but she was amazing in it. I forget what her name was, but yeah, and Neil Patrick Harris is also someone that's starring in this. But this is a reboot, kind of new trilogy that I don't think they're trying to make. But yes, Matrix Resurrection. This is, if you have never seen any of my reviews, pretty much I go and tell like a little summary, then I give my pros, give my cons, then I give a grade at the end. And I'm gonna just start off. This movie was not too good, but we'll get to that, right? So this movie starts off with Keanu Reeves as Neo, who is gonna sound like the same beats as the first one, but he wakes up, things aren't right. He's actually a famous video game maker and is really popular for a trilogy of video games named The Matrix. And then the whole movie is them trying to just get him out, trying to make him remember that this isn't real, all this and that, you know. It's sort of a convoluted kind of story, but like I said, it's him trying to remember his powers, remember that he's Neo, and then trying to get Carrie-Anne Moss's character Trinity out of the Matrix, and them trying to be happily ever after. You know how that goes, right? So, except for the reverse where Trinity was trying to get him out. Alright, so that being said, I'm gonna tell you right now. I'll give you pros. My pros is Keanu Reeves is Neo. It's like he didn't skip a beat. You know what I'm saying? He remembers sort of, but once he remembers, like, he's kind of kick-ass, and like in the chemistry, you still see it's there with Carrie-Anne Moss's Trinity, right? I'm trying to think of more pros. There was some decent fight scenes, some decent action, and the characters, the supporting characters, as far as like Jessica Henwick, she kills it. I love her character. I want to actually see more of her character. It is really cool to see like the descendants of characters from the original trilogy, but now in this, because they had other characters, I don't even remember their name. The only one standout supporting character really is Jessica Henwick's Bugs. I think that's about it for the pros. Cons. Oh, and another pro has that nostalgia. You know, you remember the Matrix. This is the Matrix, right? Now going into my cons, I'm going to say that it was lazy. It was too repetitive of the first. It relied too much on nostalgia, and also it stroked its own ego a little too much. In fact, it stroked it so hard, I thought the movie was bordering X-rated. That's how hard they were stroking that ego. Because this one, and it was too meta. It's one thing to be meta. They were too meta, right? And what I mean by meta is they're talking about, like, all right, say, I'm trying to not spoil it or whatever, but if you're watching this, forget it. You know, we're gonna spoil it a little bit, right? So him as a video game maker, they say WB wants them to do a new trilogy, wants to start it all over. The Matrix. They say The Matrix, and Warner Brother wants it. And they're gonna do it with or without Keanu Reeves. So it makes you wonder, like, were they gonna try and do The Matrix, reboot it with or without Keanu Reeves? So you got that. And then while they're trying to figure out a way to make another game, they're saying how Matrix revolutionized gaming, how the things changed. It's the pinnacle. How, like, after that, people didn't even sleep. It changed the world, changed the game. I'm like, okay, okay, you come. We know how good the first Matrix was, and they're trying to make it like the Matrix trilogy was this epic thing. It was good, but trust, believe, it was the first Matrix that put you on the board, and the next ones after that kind of diminishing returns. That's what it was. They brought back Morpheus, but except it wasn't the Morpheus. I guess it was a mixture between Morpheus and Mr. Smith, which Yahya, he plays a good job as him, but you kind of wonder why didn't they bring back, you know, the original Morpheus, you know? And to that they say, you know, spoilers or whatever, that this is years, like 60 years later, so he's died. But with all this technology, you would think they would have just uploaded his brain, or think maybe he didn't want to, you know, they didn't mention that. But you would have figured that, you know, to help people, maybe an AI based on him would have been something really good. But who knows? Lawrence Fishburne, you know, and when I say nostalgia, they redid fight scenes. They did scenes from the original movies fighting Smith doing those multiple punches into Neo into the wall where he's choking up blood, or punching chunks off of pillars while swinging at Neo. They redid that, but with this new character, this new guy that's supposed to be Agent Smith, Jonathan Groff, and it just didn't seem right. And you're like, okay, either make him someone different, or you're trying to make him Smith that can't remember that he's Smith, but he's still in a Matrix, but he wants to have his own independence, and it was kind of confusing. And they were trying to really be meta and for you to really think hard, but there was like holes. Like, okay, Neo and Trinity died to bring peace to the machines, and there was for a moment. And then they started fighting amongst themselves, and then I guess they turned back against the humans. And I don't know what happened, but there has been peace. So, and then it makes you wonder, like, if they're still trying to go after humans, why weren't they going after them even harder? Like, okay, you would figure with 60 years, they would learn even better ways to track them. But, I don't know, it just doesn't seem right to me. Story was kind of linear. It wasn't like so thought-provoking. It was Neo trying to remember, and it kept, the directing wise, when he was trying to remember, it was kind of wacky, it was kind of weird, where he was going through his day like Groundhog's Day, going through, he had a bunch of pills, he at some point he had a handful of pills, but he only had a bottle. I'm like, wait, how did all those pills, where did it come from? And this movie is not that good. For new fans of Matrix, for people being introduced to Matrix, this might be good for them, because, you know, if they've never watched the original, this has, you know, the same regular tropes of action, you know, speeding, motorcycles, explosions, blah blah blah, all the things that people like as far as movies. But if you're a Matrix fan, this will disappoint you and maybe even anger you, because I had a friend who was like, this is just trash, you know. And if you that's what I'm saying, if I'm gonna grade it based on the fact that people coming in and the people that have seen from the old. Now, doing that, I'm going to give this movie a D+. And I'm giving it a D+. I'm not giving it an F. I'm giving it a D+ because there's a foundation here for a good movie. They just rely too much on nostalgia to convey their story. Too much on, not only did they just redo scenes, but they actually were re-showing clips of the original movie in this to remind people that this is from the Matrix. We know where this is from. You don't have to beat us over the head with this nostalgia. So, I'm sorry, I wanted to give this movie a better thing. I originally when it came out was okay, but the more I thought about it, the more I just realized how lazy it was. And this is directors, you know, the original directors, the Wachowski brothers, Wachowski sisters or whatever, it was only one of them that came back to do this movie. And it's almost like what they were saying with the video game, like, oh, they were gonna do it regardless, and like we gotta make some money. We need, like, it seems like that's what this movie is, and that's where it's like way too meta, because you're trying to make it seem as if, you know, you had a good reason for making this movie when it was all like a cash trope. This is what you wanted to do. You wanted to make more money off of this franchise that died off a while ago. So I'm sorry, D+ is the best it's getting from me. Other people probably give it an F, but I think it has potential to be something good. Now, I'll watch the next one to see where it goes, because the end of this just leaves them a little too OP, and I don't know what's going to happen after that. but we'll see. Well, thank you for watching my review. Remember to share, like, subscribe, tell your friends, tell your kids, tell your wife, tell your husband, tell all your family about this channel. And remember, I'm Wiscrat. You've been watching Suburban Nerd, and you've just been nerdified. Catch you guys on the next review.